These two words won't fix the problem on their own, but they're a step in the right direction to creating a better youth sports environment for everyone involved. If you've been around youth sports for a few years, you've probably seen it, heard it, or maybe even participated in it. Criticizing the referee, sometimes quite loudly and quite harshly. It happens all the time, and it happens out of emotion at youth sporting events, creating a negative atmosphere for everyone involved. And that atmosphere extends to far more than the moment itself, as Allison Forsyth outlined in the debut episode of Better Sports Parents.
When we as parents make a decision, usually from our passion, we're so passionate to start yelling and screaming at referees or other kids or other coaches. When that happens, what we need to understand is that that will very likely lead to kids fighting, coaches. Like there's this elevation. And I wish it was the other way around, but this elevation in the environment that leads to harm and sometimes really bad harm can start with the parents screaming at refs, at coaches. Not only does that, and I'll be honest, I mean, I'm not trying to tell everyone how to parent, but I know this very clearly from the work I do. Not only does that contribute to a toxicity with the kids on the field, but it also contributes to setting a example of what abuse looks like for our children. Because when we are as parents yelling and screaming at referees in hockey, that is verbal abuse. I'm sorry. I can throw you the definition anytime you want. But what I consistently hear from parents, even within my own kids' teams, if they feel like, wait for it, that's just hockey. And they have a right to do this because that's the hockey culture. And this is the problem because all that has happened is we now know what maltreatment is. We know the effects of maltreatment, which is trauma. We know how kids who are traumatized and referees who are traumatized, coaches who are traumatized, how they will then deal with that trauma through coping mechanisms. So a lot of this is just, we know better now, so let's do better. And we have to get out of, well, that's just how sport is, Allison.
We know better, so let's do better. Pretty difficult to argue with that logic from Allison Forsyth, as outlined in the opening episode of Better Sports Parents. So, what can we as parents do? Well, here's a first step in the right direction. Ask your children to thank their referees or officials after the games that they play in, regardless of the sport. Well, how can that help us as parents? In a couple of different ways. First of all, we are directing our children to engage in the proper behavior that not only recognizes the value that referees and officials bring to our games, but it humanizes them as well. These are often children themselves, teenagers who are learning to officiate and beginning to give back to the game. And if we lose those children, if we lose those young adults who want to help officiate and administer the game, we lose an integral part of sport. Nobody wants to bring their children to an environment where they don't believe that there's an impartial official administering the rules of the sport. You lose the referee, you lose a crucial aspect of the game. There's also a modeling aspect here. When we ask our kids to recognize the officials, it's a reminder to us to do the same. So while it might not completely change the behavior of every adult in the stands, it's a reminder. I've asked my child to do this. I need to model the same behavior. Perhaps I can even go out of my way to thank the officials for what they did in the game today. Or at the very least, make me realize that these are people out there who are trying to do better for the sport. I can support them simply by doing that. As someone high up in refereeing told me in recent weeks, recruiting is not a problem in officiating. Retention is because of this exact problem. Parents and coaches yelling at referees, verbally abusing them, as Allison outlined in that clip. So if you're a coach, if you're a parent, ask your child to thank their referees and officials after their sporting events. And perhaps you can do the same thing. It's one small step into creating a better sports environment for our kids that are playing these sports. Another episode of Better Sports Parents will be coming your way next week. And if you subscribe or follow the podcast on whichever platform you're watching or listening, you'll also get these sideline strategies every week as well. A big thanks to Andre Diaconou, who provided the music for this podcast. Until next time, happy sports parenting. And remember, have fun out there. That's what it's supposed to be about.